Do you actually know which are the 10 biggest creatures in the Hollow Earth? In this video, I'm going to reveal the definitive list and prove their true scale using official data from Monarch. Welcome to the place where inverted gravity spawns monsters that defy the laws of physics. We're going to climb the ranks right now, starting with the smaller titans and going all the way up to a creature so colossal that its skeleton literally became part of the landscape. But before we face off with these giants, go ahead and smash that like button. It really makes a huge difference for the channel. Now, brace yourselves, because number 10 is already terrifying. Kicking off our list at number 10, we have a creature that took the internet by storm and became the unofficial mascot of the MonsterVerse. Even though he might look like a pup compared to the other monsters, don't let that fool you. If you were standing right next to him, you wouldn't even reach his shins. Doug is about 15 to 20 meters tall, roughly 50 to 65 feet, and can reach 40 meters, 130 feet in length. To give you a real sense of scale, he's as tall as a 5-story building. If you put him on a road, he'd take up the width of an entire highway. But in the Hollow Earth, he's basically just a dog. Compared to Kong, who stands at over 100 meters, Doug is the equivalent of a beefy, grumpy French bulldog. We first saw him in Godzilla vs. in that quick scene where he snatches a giant crab and bolts. He made his comeback in Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, proving that his main trait is being a total opportunist. He doesn't hunt alpha titans, he just steals their food and runs for it. Quick fun fact, the official name of his species is Godzilla. His design was intentionally made to resemble Godzilla, just more squat and without the atomic dorsal plates, suggesting he might be a distant evolutionary cousin of the king of the monsters, just a budget version that skipped gym day. Stepping it up a notch, in 9th place, we have the Wart Dogs. If Doug is the chubby bulldog of the Hollow Earth, these guys are the hungry, lightning-fast hyenas of this ecosystem. An adult wart dog stands about 20 meters tall and can reach up to 45 meters in length. To give you an idea, it's big enough to swallow a whole school bus without even chewing. We saw these creatures at the beginning of Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, in that insane scene where an entire pack chases Kong. And here's the detail that shows the absurd scale of the Hollow Earth. Next to Kong, they look like small dogs, but if one of these showed up on our surface, it would be taller than most residential buildings. They're pack hunters and extremely aggressive, but size isn't everything. Remember our number 10, Doug? Well, in the movie, we actually see Doug scavenging the carcass of a wart dog. In other words, our number 9 is taller and longer, but it still ended up becoming a snack for number 10. Only to find out it's actually a giant ant-like creature in the trees. Well, that was just a worker. Their queen is a full-blown titan that appears in the official game Kong: Skull Island cinematic adventure. According to official Monarch data, the mother Longlegs queen reaches 40 meters, 131 feet in height. Let's look at the scale. An average human is about 1.75 meters 5'9". Standing next to this queen, you'd be smaller than a single claw on one of her legs. You would literally be a crumb. Compared to Kong, who is 100 meters tall, she reaches up to his waist. Imagine a large dog attacking a grown man. That's the proportion we're talking about. She is what we call flora-fauna. Her body mimics old wood and leaves, allowing her to camouflage perfectly in giant forests before unleashing an army of workers. Despite her height, she sits at number 8 because her body is made of an exoskeleton chitin, making her much lighter and more fragile than the flesh and blood monsters we'll see next. In 7th place, we have the nightmare that haunted the series Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, the Iron Dragon. This creature is a bizarre and terrifying hybrid. It has wings inspired by flying fish, a body resembling a hairless bat, and a tail ending in a pincer. It lives in the Axis Mundi, a gravitational transition zone within the Hollow Earth. When standing on its hind legs, it measures about 50 to 60 meters, 164 to 197 feet tall. But what really puts it in this position is its wingspan. From wingtip to wingtip, it exceeds 90 to 100 meters to 195 to 328 feet. For us humans, its strength is unfathomable. In the 1940s, this monster was capable of grabbing the USS Lawton, an entire naval destroyer, and dragging it out of the water and into the middle of the jungle. Imagine an animal picking up a steel building and carrying it home. Besides its strength, it spits a nacre slime, a pearly, radioactive material it uses to trap its victims while they're still alive. However, when it faced Godzilla in the series, the league difference was clear. Godzilla, standing at nearly 110 meters at the time, treated the Iron Dragon like a toy, ripping off its wing and tossing it into the portal. It's a giant by human standards, but a lightweight compared to Alpha Titans. We're reaching the halfway point of our list. And now we're entering the heavyweight category. But before I show you the titan that uses a whip made of bones, let me know in the comments, which of these smaller creatures do you think would be harder to survive if you were lost in the hollow earth? Doug or the wart dogs? Drop a comment, I want to know. Back to the list. In 6th place, we have the villain who nearly brought the surface world to its knees, Skar King. A lot of people are surprised by his ranking here, but the numbers don't lie. Skar King officially stands at 97 meters 318 feet tall. This means he's shorter than Kong 100 meters and significantly shorter than Godzilla 120 meters. The physical difference, besides being shorter, he's much lighter. While Kong is a tank of a gorilla, made of pure muscle and weighing nearly 90,000 tons, Skar King has the anatomy of an orangutan, lean, long-limbed, and agile. He weighs about half as much as Kong. In a sumo match, Kong would toss him aside like a ragdoll. So why is he so dangerous? Intelligence and cruelty. He makes up for his lack of size by using tools. His primary weapon, the whip slash, is literally made from the spinal column of a warbat with a crystal tip. He takes the 6th spot because, although he's a political and military alpha, in terms of raw physical mass and size, he's outclassed by the massive freaks of nature coming up next. Entering the top 5. We have the winged snakes that tried to choke the life out of Kong, the Warbats, also known as Nozuki. These creatures are visually stunning. According to Monarch data files seen in the opening of Godzilla vs. Kong, an adult warbat is about 130 meters for 128 feet long and weighs over 26,000 tons. The scale comparison, to put that into perspective, Kong is 100 meters tall. A warbat is longer than Kong is tall. When it spreads its wings, the wingspan is gargantuan enough to shadow a small town. But it's not just about size. A warbat's mouth hides 4-meter-long fangs the size of a sedan, and it can inject thousands of gallons of corrosive venom in a single bite. They use their serpentine bodies for constriction, meaning they coil around the victim to crush bones or suffocate them, exactly like they did to Kong before the human stepped in. They land at number 5 because, while they are incredibly long and dangerous in packs, they are physically light for a titan. In the movie, Kong grabs one by the tail and swings it around like a wet towel, using the warbat itself as a club. It's a glass giant, lethal on offense, fragile on defense. 4th place goes to a titan that once pushed Godzilla to his absolute limit, Tiamat. While the Warbats are impressive, Tiamat is in a different league entirely. She is a colossal sea serpent with purple and pink bioluminescence. Her official length is recorded at a staggering 158 meters 847 feet. The power comparison, imagine to Godzilla stacked on top of each other. Tiamat would still be longer than that. She's essentially an oriental aquatic dragon brought to life. In the official comics Godzilla Dominion, we saw just how dangerous she really is. Underwater, she used hydrokinesis to create whirlpools and drag Godzilla into the deep. She has razor-sharp scales that slice through the king of the monster's armored hide, and she can even spit toxic phosphor ink that boils the water and blinds her enemy. She takes the 4th spot because, besides her absurd length, she has a muscle mass far superior to the Warbats. Unfortunately for her, in Godzilla x Kong, the king of the monsters invaded her Arctic lair not to chat, but to absorb her energy and evolve into his pink form. She was a giant, but she ended up being nothing more than a battery for Godzilla. Taking the bronze medal is the big surprise from Godzilla x Kong, the Drowned Viper. This creature is an aquatic superspecies that lurks in the deep, murky lakes of the hollow earth. It looks like a bizarre cross between a moray eel and a catfish, sporting dark blue scales and glowing yellow stripes. The real size, although Monarch hasn't released an official spec sheet. The visual analysis from the movie is chilling. When the Drowned Viper coils around Kong, it wraps around his massive body several times with plenty of length still left in the water. Conservative estimates put the Drowned Viper between 300 and 350 meters long, about 1,000 to 1,150 feet. This makes it significantly longer than Tiamat and nearly 3 times the height of Godzilla. But it's not just the size. It has a terrifying feature, a radula. Basically, its tongue is covered in serrated teeth, designed to sandpaper the flesh off its prey while swallowing them alive. It is a biological machine built to drown and grind titans. However, despite being bigger than Tiamat and the Warbats, the Drowned Viper had the bad luck of crossing paths with Kong and Zuko. In the end, the 3rd largest beast on this list was nothing more than giant sushi for the apes. In 2nd place, we have the largest living creature humanity has ever recorded. She isn't just a titan, she is a global calamity, Shimo. Forget everything you know about scale. Shimo redefines the game. Officially, she stands at 160 to point for 5 meters 533 feet tall when upright. She is taller than King Ghidorah 158 meters and makes Godzilla at 120 meters look small. The mass comparison, but height isn't even the scariest part. It's the sheer volume. The official novelization of the film describes the difference between her and Godzilla as the difference between a blue whale and a humpback whale. While Godzilla weighs around 100,000 tons, it's estimated that Shimo approaches to 100,000 tons. She is an indestructible biological tank. The real power, she is ancient. So ancient that she was responsible for causing the Ice Age. And there's more. The novelization confirms that it was Shimo who froze King Ghidorah in the Antarctic ice millennia ago. She is so powerful that Skar King could only control her using a crystal of agonizing pain, because in direct combat, Shimo would have crushed him without even noticing. She is the pinnacle of raw strength in the MonsterVerse. And finally, we've reached number 1, the largest organism to ever exist in the MonsterVerse. In Godzilla x Kong, there is a breathtaking scene where Kong and Zuko cross a bridge. But that's not a stone bridge, it's the fossilized spine of a titanic creature. For a long time, fan theories claimed this was the skeleton of Dagon, a Godzilla ancestor from the comics. But I dug deep, and scientifically, that's impossible. First, Dagon was about 120 meters tall, the same size as Godzilla. Second, Dagon died in the Philippines in 1999, and his skeleton was studied by Monarch at the start of the 2014 movie. The skeleton we see in the Hollow Earth is something much older and infinitely larger. Based on Kong's stride and the scale of the scene, it's estimated that this creature was over 5 kilometers 3 miles long. The skull, seen in the background, resembles a serpent or a colossal bear, and the ribs are fused like armor. The official novelization describes this structure as unfathomable to the human mind. This suggests that in the Hollow Earth's remote past, when radiation was even stronger, there were mega-titans. That would make Godzilla and Shimo look like toys. This skeleton is proof that the age of monsters we live in today is just a shadow of a far more terrifying era that came before. Did you enjoy this breakdown? Then make sure to subscribe and smash that like button, alright? God bless, much love, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.